Seed & Light hasn't done a video for a little while, and we're going to start again and do a series of shorter ones, more or less concentrating on individual vegetables and certain techniques or whatever in the shorter one. But today I wanted to talk about kale. Kale is a member of the cabbage family. Has all the benefits that you would get out of cabbage, maybe a little bit richer. There's two kinds of kale that we particularly like in our garden. We grow it almost year-round. This is July 5th, and we still have kale that we can harvest and cook. One of the things I wanted to point out, the two kinds are, one, this is a Siberian kale, and it's a very leafy kind of a kale. This is what you see a lot of in the grocery store. The problem with large leafy kale like this is that a great deal of the weight is in the stem, and of course these are being grown commercially to sell you to get the most money per poundage. And I prefer to pick my Siberian kale when it's about this size. The stem is still very tender, and you can grow a whole lot of more of it in a small area and don't have to grow it great big in order to really have some nice kale to harvest. Also, you get a lot less leaf damage on it when it's smaller. This is a Russian red kale. It's really kind of ragged right today. It's going to be called Ragged Jack, or Russian red kale, or just red kale. There's several varieties of this, but all of them are pretty much the same. I like this one real well. I harvest it when it's about this size. We're about a foot, and you can eat the stem down to pretty close to the bottom, and leave the plant to come out again. So you can harvest it a couple of times. Kales have become very popular. I'm sure you've seen it in the stores now for salads and pot greens and greens, and more people are beginning to understand using greens in their diet. I do want to mention this to you, that you can take your overage of harvest and dry it. It's very easy to dry. If you don't have a dehydrator, you can just do it in a very low heated oven. Take it out and kind of crush it up into little sprinkles, and but get it real dry, and it'll hold off all the way through winter. You can add it to soups and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of value in planting kale. There's several ways of storing it. Certainly you can freeze it, eat it fresh. Always start a little patch and have a little patch going all the time. And you can eat it from this tall to big, that's where it's at. But I would encourage you to learn to dry greens as well, because they'll store for a couple of years that way pretty easily. And we did a program on the 90-day garden I would refer you to that talked a lot about drying and how to use some of the vegetables dried that way. So anyway, we'll close it up for today. Kale, great product. I would encourage you to grow it pretty much all year in your garden, but particularly you want to get it planted the late of August into early September, so that you have a very good crop down and ready to go by December 22nd, where you can carry that over all the way through the winter in your garden and harvest greens all the way through with just some light covering. So your area may require more than here in Albuquerque. Here we really don't have to cover it very much at all. Maybe in January a little bit, but where you are, you may need to put some row cover over it and maybe a little bit of plastic, but it'll hold pretty well. So that's kale, and I know you're going to enjoy growing it. I know you'll develop a great taste for it. Talk to you later.